I was impressed with the first and second group, and they played pretty well, and they played sharp. So
JAKIB Media YouTube channel with your Mac and Mac guys, Jody McDonald, along with my partner, John McMullen. Oh, John, you look okay. You pulled a Jody Mac last night. You're working on short sleep here today. What
really
time did you get out of Lincoln Financial Field?
About 2-ish, I think. About 2-ish in the. I don't know how you do this, man. Well, now, but I don't. You do that too. You do the morning and you go all the way to the night. So, and then somehow I'm leaving the link and I go, man, it's hot out. It's freaking 2 in the morning. It was unbelievably hot, even at that point. So it was a soupy environment for the players out there. Luckily, it was just short bursts for them because, man, I wouldn't have liked to have seen the guys dropping trying to play 4 quarters.
We're jumping into the soup with you here today after the Eagles' first game in the Nick Sirianni era. Yes, it was a loss, 24-16, but that doesn't much matter, as we were saying leading up to the game, as we'll say every single year in preseason action. The actual W and L is not all that important. It's what key guys do in key spots. And overall, John, I got to say, if you're just giving the Eagles a grade for game 1 in the Nick Sirianni era, I give it a passing grade. They played well. They won the first half when most of the starters were in. They got buried in the second half. All right, the Eagles' third string isn't exactly what it needs to be as of right now. I give them a passing grade for game number 1, even though it's a loss. How about you?
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, they were ahead 13-0, and then kind of it came off the rails. I mean, the first and, a mix of the first and second team there, they outplayed the Steelers. Now, the Steelers also no Ben Roethlisberger, no TJ Watt. They're star players, a lot of them. So you have to throw that in the mix as well. But I was impressed with the first and second group, and they played pretty well, and they played sharp. So the fact that they couldn't get anything done in the second half, they were dismal in the second half offensively. They couldn't move the ball at all. McMullen looked atrocious. Wasn't just him. I mean, guys running bad routes, everything. No pass protection that deep into the offensive line. So you see that all the time in preseason football because, those guys aren't ready to play. And the Steelers, on the other hand, you can make fun of Dwayne Haskins all you want, and people do. But, I mean, that's a pretty good third-string quarterback from a talent perspective. So it's one of those teams where you kind of put into the mix that they're not completely inept when they get down to their third team. So I don't care about the win-loss aspect of it. I care about the first team. And again, some of the top-tier reserves played pretty well. So I definitely give him a passing grade.
Understood and agreed. And I feel exactly the same about the position that we're going to talk the most about. We do every single year, every single game, as a matter of fact. And that's quarterback. Again, starting quarterback, most important. Joe Flacco, pretty good. Nick Mullins got awful. But Jalen Hurts ends up 3 for 7. So once again, if you just take the analytical look at it.
Which is why I never do it. I never do it, Jody.
3 of 7 is below 50%. That looks bad. But truth be told, I thought he played pretty damn well. 2 of the 4 incompletes were just blatant drops by his receivers. Zach Ertz dropped 1. Rager dropped 1. As other incomplete would have been the highlight of the game. And that's saying a lot when they go for a 79-yard touchdown by Quez Watkins. Oh, it could have been a 97, 98-yard touchdown. Yeah. Jalen Hurts from the back of his own end zone laid one out that he just overthrew a little bit to Watkins on a fly pattern. I thought it was a damn good pass. I know it goes down as an incomplete, and they end up having to continue on from their own 2-yard line. I'll take that because, every once in a while, Watkins is going to be able to run under one like that, or Nick is just going to leave a little bit more off the ball, and it's going to be perfect, and it's going to hit him in stride. I thought his 3 of 7 performance actually was pretty darn good. I would give him a solid B+ as a grade.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen him more. That's maybe something we'll get into. I mean, come on, Nick. If you're going to treat him like the first-team quarterback, that's fine. let's call him the first team
Yeah.
quarterback. Let's call him he was out there for 2 series. As you mentioned, the numbers don't look great. I always say this is not a game of numbers. You mentioned the 2 drops, all of a sudden 3 of 7 is 5 of 7. He had the opportunity for the big play to Quez. He said after the game, remember they were backed up. He said his first sentiment there, he can't take a safety no matter what. So he probably got the ball out a little bit too quickly, and they missed. And he said, "We'll hit it. We'll hit it eventually." I like the sentiment, the mentality from Nick Sirianni as well to take a shot deep in your end zone. I think that says you trust your quarterback, number one. I think that gives your play calling a little juice in the locker room. They like that kind of stuff. And, they almost hit it. And we were talking a little bit before we went on here, Jody. Yeah, can you imagine if you put a 98 on a go route on top of 79 on a bubble screen? Quez Watkins would be the star, the toast of the city right now. Even with the Phillies in a playoff race, fans would have went nuts. They should still be going nuts about Quez Watkins. And I've been saying it for a long time now. I mean, that guy, another thing with Nick Sirianni, if you talk about competition, let's put this guy in the competition because he's better than Travis Fulgham. He has been better. He has been surely better than Jalen Reagor, and he has been better than your boy, Greg Ward. Let's get him out there. Let's get him out there. Now, Devontae Smith, obviously, we put to the side a little bit. But, I'll also bring Andre Dillard because people have no problem ripping Andre Dillard to shreds. You like to chide me about, saying they're going to give him a chance because why? He's a former first-round pick. They're doing the same thing with Jalen Reagor, just a little bit sooner. Quez Watkins is outplaying him more than Jordan Mailata is outplaying Andre Dillard, who's now hurt, so it doesn't even matter. So let's get him out there.
I agree. And they did. He was out there early, and Devonta Smith being injured certainly had something to do with it.
Not going to be out there week 1, though, and I feel confident saying that even after watching what I saw last night, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there yet. We don't know Nick Sirianni. We believe we know Howie Roseman quite well, and we know that he likes to justify the draft picks that he makes, and I'm sure has influences on the coach. But Nick Sirianni did say last week, I'm going to play the guys who give me the best chance to win. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not predicting Quez Watson gets every snap week 1 against the Falcons. I don't believe that, but I don't think he's going to sit on the bench either. And I would not be surprised, and we make too big a deal of this. We do this in football. We do it in basketball, too. The only sport where it really matters is baseball. Who starts? Well, guys come in and out of the game all the time.
Yeah, no.
Basketball and football. It doesn't matter who gets the first snap of the game. It's who plays the majority
I'm more talking
of
about majority of reps. Majority of reps. I'm not talking about, you're right. I mean, being anointed, being out there for the first play. If you leave after, doesn't really matter. I'm talking about number of reps. Now, also, Quez has got a whole preseason to go through. There's no guarantee he's going to keep this up. I'm saying if he keeps it up, you can't keep him off the field. I would think that's going to be a tough sell for Nick Sirianni after the way he's talked. But he's got to finish the job. Quez Watkins has to finish the job as well. But right now, if you're taking a temperature test right now, today, whatever date we are, I get mixed up, Jody. Everything runs together this time of year. Right now, he's the second best receiver on this team. The first best is hurt. Darius Slay said it. He's the best corner on this team. Jalen Hurts said he's no longer a secret last night. His teammates seem to know it. Let's finish the job and let's give him an opportunity. But first and foremost, Quez has got to handle his business.
And one thing I don't understand is Darius Slay during the week called him Ugly Quez. You got to see him with his helmet off last night. They had a couple of sideline shots. Looked like a pretty good-looking young man to me. I don't know. It's ugly as the defensive back who's trying to chase him down. That's the only ugliness involved.
Slay calls everybody ugly. It's not he calls Greg Ward ugly. Greg's very attractive. Slay's got a big, he calls everybody out.
Okay,
It's
that's a Darius Slay thing. Okay, fine. Which, by the way, great play. And the touchdown that Quez Watkins scored, and this is why stats can be so misleading. On the play that he scored the touchdown, if you had 100% of credit to give out, I would say Quez Watkins gets about 85 to 90% of it. His teammates,
I
Richard,
wouldn't give him 85 to 90.
really what?
I give Richard Rogers. That's a 4-yard gain if Richard Rogers doesn't get out there and block. Also, Brett Toth had a great seal block. So those guys, and even Quez said it, all I had to do was run, and then the 4.35 speed takes over. But also there was a Steeler, I forget who it was. He had an angle on Quez Watkins, and it just evaporated like it was Randy Moss. He's got a lot of speed. But that was great execution. And by the way, it started with Joe Flacco, Nick Sirianni. Joe Flacco checked into that play. He saw what the Steelers were doing. So people are saying Joe Flacco shouldn't be the backup of this team. Joe Flacco looked good. He's checking in out of bad plays into good plays. And all of a sudden you got a 79-yard touchdown. So, yeah, that was a perfectly executed play from just about everybody, from the quarterback to the tight end to the left tackle to obviously Quez Watkins.
Right. And the point I was trying to make was I could have thrown that pass. You could have thrown that pass. It wasn't that difficult to pass. It was a good call to go to the play, but it was a relatively easy pass, and it goes down on Joe Flacco's balance sheet as a 79-yard touchdown pass. Well, a lot of people contributed to it, Quez the most, but the others with the very good blocks as well. And I actually believe the pass out of the end zone by Jalen Hurts was a better pass. It goes down as an incomplete, rather than the one that Flacco throws, which goes down as a 79-yard touchdown. That's why you can't learn everything off the stat sheet.
No, but I do want to say, you and I might not know to check into that play. That's number one. Number two, when you throw those bubble screens, they got to be accurate, because if they're not accurate, if the receiver has to reach for it, play is probably going to lose its timing. So it's a bigger throw than you think as far as the accuracy. I get what you're saying. I mean, it's not a 79-yard touchdown pass down the field, but it was still a really good play by Joe Flacco and Quez and Nick Sirianni more than Quez. Nick Sirianni mentioned, that was a good job by Joe Flacco, because Nick could have taken credit. He didn't take credit.
And good for Nick. And, by the way, Joe Flacco, the unquestioned backup. He always has been. Nick Mullen's had a couple nice days at practice. Flacco didn't have a couple good days of practice. And certain Eagle beat reporters were going, Nick Mullins might just be the number 2 quarterback of this team. No, that's not. It was never going to be the case. And after last night's action, we know it's definitely not going to be the case. I know this is putting the cart before the horse, but are they guaranteed to keep 3 quarterbacks? You kind of got to keep 3 quarterbacks in the National Football League, don't you?
Yeah, you do, because of COVID, obviously. We've already seen it with the Vikings. We saw it last year with Denver. Their whole quarterback room got wiped out. Denver in the regular season, which is even a bigger catastrophe. But the Vikings went like 4 days with 1 quarterback. They had to pick up guys off the street just to run practice. So, yeah, you need that extra guy. Remember, the Eagles kept Josh McCown until Houston signed him as sort of the first COVID away from the team player. They just stuck him down in Texas and said, hey, Josh, just be ready if we need you. Yeah, you're going to need a third quarterback. The positive part of Nick Mullins performing so poorly, if he continues to play that poorly, you can probably get him through waivers, because it's pretty clear his arm strength isn't there coming back from elbow surgery. I mean, the one interception, Adrian Killins, I didn't know if you could tell from television, but he was open. Killins was open down the seam of the field, and the ball was late, number one, but also there was nothing on it. I mean, if that's a Brett Favre arm, I mean, that's an easy completion, but he's got nothing as far as arm strength. Now, maybe And I think the Eagles have to be hopeful as he gets further off surgery, it returns. Remember, that was never the strength of his game to begin with, but you got to get back to that average arm strength. And if it does that, he's a competent third-string quarterback. But if he keeps playing this way in the preseason, the silver lining to that is you can get him through waivers and onto the practice squad.
And the problem with that particular throw last night, as you mentioned, it should have come out quicker and it should have come out stronger. He tried to throw it off his back foot. If you know you don't have the arm strength, you don't make that type of throw. You try and step into your throws and have your body give that weak arm a little bit of a helping hand. McMullen didn't try that, and, of course, it gets picked off thereafter. All right, we've got a guest coming up in just a couple of minutes. We're going to get our buddy Jimmy Kempski from Philly Voice up here. He's got some stuff to take care of this morning, so he's going to hop on for 15 or 20 minutes. One last question before we take our first break and get Jimmy up. Your boy, Tyree Jackson. I had not seen him up close. Like, they got a couple of close shots on the broadcast last night. I know he's 6'7". I know how big he is. But I remember him as Buffalo's quarterback. I watched him play a couple of games when he was in college. He's put on about 25 pounds of muscle from when he was a quarterback, and he looks like a legit tight end. He's got tight end girth, a tight end build. I thought he played well last night. There was one play they said on the broadcast that the first Mullins interception might have been his fault. He might not have turned around quickly enough.
He didn't run a great route. And that's what you see, and I kind of been saying that. You see the natural ability, but he's still very raw. And he had the drop early. You saw all where Tyree Jackson is. You saw some of the good. You saw some of the bad. That was a bad route. That was a bad route that kind of left Nick Mullins hanging out to dry. It's a young player. The problem now with the Eagles, Richard Rodgers was good, man. You can't cut Richard Rodgers. He's just a good football player. I know I'm being a little bit facetious. You can cut him. It's not going to be the end of the world. But I don't want to cut him. I talked about that block. I mean, it was amazing. He deserves to make the football team. But if Zach Ertz is here, and it's looking more and more clear that Zach Ertz is probably going to be here, you got to keep him. You got to keep Dallas Goedert. You got to keep Richard Rodgers. You can't keep 4 tight ends, so then you got to risk getting Tyree Jackson through waivers. I don't know if he gets through waivers. The Eagles went through this last year with Noah Tagai. People forget about him. He was an undrafted rookie. They said, well, we'll get him through waivers. No, you didn't. Indianapolis picked him up. Somebody's going to pick this kid up if they try to get him through waivers. I don't know what you're going to do. And by the way, that reminds me, the Eagles started out 12 personnel.
Yes, they did start
2
12.
tight ends.
That tells you that that puts a smile on my face. Not because I got anything against the Eagle wide receivers or whatever, but I'm going to hold Nick Sirianni I'm going to hold Nick Sirianni to his word that I'm going to play the players that give me the best chance to win, not where they were drafted or what it might make my general manager look better. I'm going to give the players who give me the best chance to win the green light. And he did by starting in 12 personnel. And that's why McMullen and I are good, because he answered my question without ever asking it. I was going to ask, does Tyree Jackson play too well that they could end up losing him because they're going to have to try and get him through waivers? Could very well be something they have to face coming up in the next couple of weeks. All right, coming up in the next couple of minutes, we're going to face off with Jimmy Kempski from Philly Voice. He's going to join us here on Birds 365.
Show on the JAKIB Media channel. Listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.